Oh, what's up, everybody? Thanks for being some of the first people on. We have a special event right now. Man, 35 people live. That's a lot. Stay tuned because I'm about to bring in some people. We're going to have an awesome, fun debate about the iPhone ringtone. I don't know if you've seen the videos going around, but we are debating the there's a lot of different ways that people feel that, right? Where they put beat one. There's our first other guest, Reuben Levine. He's just joined, so I'm going to bring him into the live. Excited to meet him. Are tacos really just Mexican sandwiches? I don't think so. I think you'd call that a torta. How do you even debate a marimba? You can debate
Hey,
anything. Hey, what's
What's up,
up, guys?
y'all?
what's up, guys?
What is
How we
up?
doing?
Amazing. Nice to meet you guys officially.
Really great to
Good to
meet you,
meet you
Jason.
too.
Good to meet you,
Yeah.
Bennett.
This is what an amazing thing to do on a Saturday afternoon, right?
Nothing better.
Nothing better. We're also expecting Jason Marsalis. Maybe he'll come at some point, hopefully. We would love to get him to weigh in on the most popular way that people hear this ringtone, right? By far, right? It's like, what would you say, like 70% of people ish that have responded so far?
Well, it's complicated. We get different stats from different polls. So I had my poll under my main Instagram video, which frustratingly, I can't believe I made this mistake, but I left out the fourth. Hey, what's up, Jason?
Greetings, y'all. What's up?
Hey,
Hey,
Jason, what is
welcome.
How y'all
good?
doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. It's good to see y'all, man.
Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to have you. This is amazing. I've never done 4 people on live at once. I think only
Right.
2 is probably the most I've done. This is so cool. But Ruben, as you were saying,
So I made the mistake of leaving out option 4 from the first poll that I posted. So you end up getting different stats from the different polls that I ran. I did
right.
the main video had a poll, the video with just drumming had a poll, and that was like I think 51% of people heard it as option 2, as your version, Jason. And then I also did the official poll, and the data was slightly different there too. So
Right.
I don't even know what the story is in terms of popularity.
It's hard to say. And you've also done your official like Google form, right? How many responses have you got on that?
So I've got 200 and something.
Wow.
And here, as a matter of fact, I could show you guys what the data looks like right now.
Yeah. Was there any patterns?
I haven't found too much yet, but honestly, I haven't finished sorting through all the data. Here's what I've had so far. How do people hear the rhythm of opening? Option 2 is the winner, but it only has 45%. It's not even a majority of responses. And
Okay.
then option 3 is second most popular, and then option 4 at 11%, and option 1 at 7.3%.
So option 3 being the way that I and Bennett hear it, where you start on 1. Is that or well, everything
Yeah,
starts
you
on
do
1,
start on one.
but
That's right.
where it starts right? But
Yes,
and that got what percent in that poll right there?
34%.
That is a lot higher than we see on
Yeah, that's
the
high on the other
Instagram
ones.
polls. That's interesting. And I wonder if, there's a different, the group of people that are going to that forum, I wonder if there's slightly different demographic or I guess maybe more musicians. I don't know exactly. Because it seems like option 3 across the board seems like a more musician friendly option, right? Sure, there are a lot of musicians that aren't option 3, but it seems like I see a bigger chunk of people choosing option 3 being musicians of some sort, right?
Let
Do
me
you see
weigh in
that
on that.
too? Yeah,
I got some more data on exactly that point that I want to show you. Check it out. I
let's see
printed
that.
this out. I
Okay.
have the preferences of what people hear sorted by experience. So
Okay.
this column represents people with absolutely no musical experience, going all the way up to people who claim to be musical professionals. And I wouldn't say that there's a very clear trend, but there are some trends here. Like you said, option 3 is incredibly unpopular among people with no musical experience, and more popular among people who consider themselves to be more musically experienced.
Did you make that?
Yeah,
How did you make that?
Damn.
Google Sheets.
Was that in the form? I can't remember. Was that one of the options? Like, how much are you professional? How much? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So clever. So clever. Cool. Yeah, that's sort of the experience that I've noticed. Very interesting. But I still am coming from the perspective that like option three is not like a complex or weird option at all. To me, I mean, as we all think our version is the most natural, I just like, I don't think that it's hard to hear. And I think people somewhere along the line have been tricked or like, I don't know if something has to do with like, some of it has to do with the trap remix or something, like if some other version got popularized. But to me, I still trust that people can feel a groove, that they can understand something that's catchy rhythmically. And I don't consider option three complex at all, but for some reason we get so many comments like anyone who thinks option three is like crazy, like this is diabolical or whatever. But I've never, ever heard it any other way besides that. And it's automatic, And I have to really like, I understand option two for sure. Jason's way, the more popular way. But I definitely have to like turn on that switch in my brain. Like, okay, we're doing option two now. The other ones still don't make sense to me at all. But option two at least does make sense. Yeah.
I think I know one reason that this has happened, and I've tried to think about this. This is a concept, and I've tried to come up with a name, and it has to do with hearing reflexes. Because there's musical reflexes, there's reflexes, when playing rhythms and working that out, like rhythms that are hard, or there's reflexes to catch music in the moment. Sometimes, say if a musician will quote a tune and I'll be late and hear it 5 seconds later, that means that your reflexes weren't as fast to catch that. But I think that there is reflex involving hearing rhythm. And so, for example, when discussing this in the comments, there were two musicians, great saxophonist Chris Royal and trumpeter Nicholas Payton, two guys I know very well, and they brought up this Curtis Mayfield tune, "Move On Up," and I cracked up because I actually know that song, and I remember when I first heard it, I could hear where one was. However, what happens is that, and it's funny because I actually played this once. And I remember at rehearsal explaining to people, this is how it works. I'm going to play these hits, and then you're going to come in. And then when we got to play it live, I hit the hits, and nobody came in. I was like, oh, come on, y'all. But I bring that song up because the way it works is that, for those who haven't heard it, there's these two snare drum hits, like 1, 2. And on beat 3, the band comes in. And it's like, but anyway, what happens is beat 3 is big. And so what happens, some people hear it as 1 because it's so big. So it'll be like, 1, and I think the drummer on the record does that too, because it's like when like he's hearing it 1, but it's actually 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm saying that because when it comes to the ringtone, my ears did something like that. My reflexes went to the big downbeats. And so now that other way of like starting on beat 1, that makes sense because when it starts, if you, it starts. But what I think happened in my case was my ears went to those big downbeats. And I think that at least for me, like some reflexes just go to the downbeat.
Yeah, I had a friend who we were looking at it the other day, and he said the fast notes to him, his reflex, his instinct is to make those a pickup. So, ba ba da, it'd be leading into the ba ba ba, right? And that's how you hear it, right? Right, Jason? Is that? Do you have a similar experience when you hear like ba ba da, and it's really until we get to that first long note, it's still just a pickup. And isn't that how you hear it?
Actually, it's funny because I'm hearing it on like the and, because of like 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, and then when it resolves to that C, that's like the 1 chord, So bing, bing, 1, so 3 is like that big beat. So I think it would be a pickup into beat 2.
Do you hear it more? Do you hear it more in halftime? Because like I wrote it out in 1, 2, 3, 4. But do you hear it more like
Actually, you know what? I do hear it in quarter notes, but I was just pointing out the
Okay.
halftime because I
Okay.
think that those big downbeats, sometimes it causes the ear to hear that as, oh yeah, this is the downbeat.
Right.
Because they're like boom, 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 but they're like these big downbeats. And I think
Gotcha.
that's something that happens in a lot of instances.
Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense. One of the things I've been seeing though with regards to your option, right? And I hope
Mhm.
that for the people out there that this is making some sort of sense. I know ideally we would have like all the options like written out, but
Right.
like the option in question right now being 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've been seeing a lot of comments that say that it starts with a rest. So rest.
Yes.
But to me, that's strange because when you come back around, there's no rest anymore. So is it just a way of explaining what they mean, or do they actually think like that the ringtone can start with a rest? Otherwise, we just start on the end of one, and it's kind of strange for a ringtone. I mean, anything can go, I guess, but the ringtone, could it really start on the end of one and then from then on repeat? It's just strange for me to say it starts on a rest when you can't experience that again. It's not like it's right. So like that would make sense to me, but we can only hear the rest once, or we can't really hear it. But that's why I'm unsure about that line of reasoning when it comes
Right.
to option two. Um, yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts about that?
That's a,
Um,
that yeah. I think that
no
is
worries.
a good point. I can see what you mean by that. And that's why, like I said, I haven't seen any sheet music or if there are any that even exists or what the intention. But I can
Right.
understand that point
Yeah.
in terms of the fact that you're right. Like there's not a rest that comes in. It's just that big note right before that pickup.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been talking about this for literally, it's been like 2 months at least. Every day I like talk to someone about this. And the conclusion we keep coming to is that we need to find like the official source of who the composer is or the sheet
Right.
music. Like like for my feeling of why I feel it like you, Jake, is like I think that's where the bass and the melody sync up. I've always been feeling the bass like the dun dun
Yep.
like that just felt natural to me. But even still, like it's not enough to say like beyond a reasonable doubt this is 1,000% true. Like what I could say like probably yeah, sure, whatever. But like it until we find the source, we're gonna go in circles. I'm telling you guys like
Yep.
this thing has consumed my life, and there's nothing we can do. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think there's a difference. Like, there's two things. Like, what is the natural way to feel it, and what is the way that it was intended? And I think I've been more trying to answer what is the natural way to feel this because, depending on who wrote it and what they were thinking or their process, it's hard to say what they were thinking. But just from hearing it and from transcribing it and playing it, to me, I only ever feel this one way, and I want to pull it up my transcription. Sorry, I didn't have it up here, so let me. We'll continue talking while I find this, but I want to point out some details in the transcription, I guess. But before we get to that, going off of what you were saying about bass notes, right? I think the most natural place to put chord changes, right, the most basic, is on downbeats, right? And if it's
Yeah.
like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, bum 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 bum
Hmm.
bum bum bum,
Insane,
and
yeah.
then opt to make option three. And I think also I think we can agree that like it's very natural to put tonic and like the start of the progression on the downbeat. Right, so like boom, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom,
Or
right? So then you just adjust the chord changes with some syncopation. So rather than boom, 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 you have boom, 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 boom. I think everyone can agree that that's a pretty easy thing to latch onto, right? And once we start doing the other
Well,
But no.
Actually, I would challenge that. I would challenge
Okay.
that real quick.
Hey, here we
I
go. Here
think,
we go.
Okay.
especially in the absence of a percussion section or really any other stuff going on besides this one marimba
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
then I think the fact that there is that implied anticipation of the chord changes
Yeah.
is actually what's tripping up a lot of people and sending people off to reinterpret it as option 2 and option 4.
No doubt. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with
Yeah.
that. I agree with that. It's fast. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Like,
That like.
option your way, more chords land on the downbeats. It's like that first note's anticipated, and then it's B flat, E flat, F,
Yeah.
C, B flat. But I was like, that's why I feel the other way, because it's so like not typical to me to have a song that starts with like you sort of jump into that first chord. I'm just like, just from my experience playing music, like most gigs I do the chords on one, like pop music, simple fives.
Yeah. I think it's more complex to put like let's say like the main downbeat chord, right, being like if it's a 2-bar loop, right, it's like that first chord that you hear, which everyone still hears as generally, maybe there's one option that doesn't, but the C, right, the ba ba da ba, like that
Yeah.
is around beat 1. It might be plus or minus a beat or whatever, but it's around.
It's
But
the start of the audio file.
it is the start of the audio. Sure, but like let's leave that out for a second.
For sure.
I think if you put the other chords on downbeats, so I guess like it's if we take this off the downbeat, but we put this and this on downbeats, it's still to me having those on downbeats and the C, like the primary note, the tonic, not on a downbeat, and having that be syncopated or off of one in some way, to me that's harder and more complex than just putting that on beat 1 and everything else
Right.
being syncopated. And I think it is interesting if you did have the percussion reference in there. I think more people would get it. I think it's hard to say, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
interesting to think like without the percussion reference, people don't automatically hear that. Obviously. So it's fascinating. I'm so let me keep talking. I'm gonna find. I don't know why I can't find my transcription. Maybe I'll just have to pull up Final Cut.
One thing that this is reminding me of
Yeah.
is, and you mentioned something without percussion. I'm being reminded of two intros because I do think that I think in the 1980s, I think there was a deliberate trend to start songs, and the point was for you to not know where one was.
For
I
sure.
think that was a deliberate thing because there's actually examples where a song
Yeah.
starts and you're like, okay, I don't know where, and then something comes in, you say, oh, okay. But two of the oddest intros that I've heard, and I think I know the notation of it, like meaning it starts and you don't know where the beat is until the band comes in.
Right.
And two of the weirdest ones that I've heard is one is Marvin Gaye's "Let's Get It On," because I believe that the guitar is playing dotted quarter notes, and I think it's in time. But the thing is, it just starts, and then the band comes in, and you're like, "Wait, what happened?" And I really believe that what happens is that it starts on one, but the guitar isn't in until do 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 bang, and then that's beat 1. But it's like if you hear it and it's guitar, you're like, "Wait, why is the band in a whole other?" Yep.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I think the guitarist is playing like deliberate dotted quarter notes. And if you count 1, 2, bit, and it starts on 1. And the other crazy intro, which this is out because it's so fast, is and this is like the end of 3 also. It's the very beginning of Everybody Wants to Rule the World from
Yes.
Oh yeah. Cheers for Fears.
Tears for Fear. And I think it's like, but it's so fast. I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're still not really sure because there's all these triplets and they're landing in
Right.
But again, they start at a weird part of the beat,
Mhm.
and there's no drums, and so because I remember I think that came on the radio at some point, And I said, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Where's one? Because it comes in real quick. And that's one of those, all right, man, I got to get the speaker and pause and rewind and think about this. So those kind of things do happen too.
Yeah, I know like the audio file starts on one is not that's not gonna hold up in court. I like I still think like it's hard for me to fathom that Apple is like, yeah, we're gonna like mess everyone up with this crazy thing. Like, you know what I mean? But so like I'll like concede that that is not like the most hard fast proof. Even though I think it's simple, and I think it's also simple to just be like, yeah, the C is the downbeat and the bass, like everything else is sort of stretching more. But like again, that's why I say genuinely I've argued about this for months and there's no like definitive answer we found. You know, the craziest thing was, Reuben, that you found the haptic vibration thing. That like blew my mind and is probably why so many people feel it, option two. Like I'm sure of it. But even still, like that could just be like, oh, maybe the guy who programmed it wasn't sure either. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I disagree about that. I don't think most people would hear the ringtone and the haptic at the same time and be thinking, maybe some people have had that experience, but I don't think that's the majority of the times they've experienced that ringtone have been with the haptics. I would push back on that. But I will say, yeah, keep going, Ruben.
sure.
No. Go ahead. You can finish.
I was just gonna say that the haptics, sure. Even though option three, they were off the downbeats or whatever, to me they were still very groovy, and
Yeah.
that didn't turn me off from that choice at all. It just, it made sense. You got to put those haptics somewhere, and it's just going to accentuate the beat in a certain way, and to me it wasn't fighting the beat, it was kind of making it even more groovy.
I'll agree with you there that the
Yeah.
haptics, when you listen through version 3, the haptics are like stanky and funky and awesome.
Yeah.
But I think that actually the haptics are enough evidence to prove that somebody, either the original composer or just the person who put together the haptics, was thinking in terms of option 2. And here's my evidence for that.
Okay.
I've got the sheet music for the haptics pulled up right here.
Yeah.
And
Here we go.
the downbeat of option 3, the central evidence point to prove that option 3, that it is option 3, is, because of the evidence, because of the emphasis on the downbeat.
Yeah.
It's missing the haptic emphasis. You've got to rest right there on the central, like the king moment of option 3.
But wait, is that a 16th rest? No,
Yeah.
but there
It's
is
like backwards over this.
Oh,
live.
sorry, it's backwards. My
I
bad.
don't know if I can flip it.
Yeah, I don't know how.
So yeah,
Oh, is that
ringtone
really?
haptics.
Is that really? So it's ba-ba-da. Is it? Oh, really?
It's the
Ba-ba-da.
haptics are like bzz, bzz, bzz,
Yeah, wait. Is that really what you? That's interesting. I didn't notice the 16th haptics. I didn't know it could even go that fast. It can go ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, it's like
Ba-
super high tech. It's just like
ba-ba-da.
Apple.
I like
Really?
had my friend call me like 6 times just so I could feel the haptics thing and be like, wait, like I think I think the haptics emphasize option two's groove, but I will still like I will put money on this that when we find the original Logic file or sheet music or whatever it is, that it will be option 3. I'm like I think it just simply makes the most sense, and for what I don't know, and like it's the dress. The dress in real life was black and blue, and in real life it's option 3 probably.
Well, I want to say something on that
That's
point.
funny because I saw white and gold forever. It took me so long
I saw
to
white
find
and gold
black
too.
and blue. Yeah. Anyway, Ruben.
So on that topic,
Yeah.
there's this evidence. There's this approximate evidence that Owl City is responsible for this ringtone.
Right.
But he was pulled in to do composition for iOS 7 in 2013, and Apple did not announce their rhythmic haptics technology until 2016.
Oh.
So this is how it works in my head. This is my belief, is that
Okay.
even if it wasn't Owl City, I think it's very, very likely that the person who composed this ringtone and the person who programmed the haptics are two different people
Yeah.
who hear
No,
the
for
ringtone
sure.
differently.
For sure.
I don't think, even if it was done at the same time, I don't think Owl City would, or whoever wrote it, would be the one who specified the haptics. I could be
Yeah.
wrong about that. It just seems like that is such a further down the line thing, so techie and whatever. So it's an interesting thing to look into, but to me, I would be careful like thinking about the music given the haptics. That's just my take on it. It's like, to me, they seem separate, but very fascinating. And I would be really curious to know the story and who did it and why like that and everything like that. I wanted to show my transcription really quick. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, what I had to do is, I guess, I don't know if I probably didn't save the finale file, but I just took a screenshot of the video I did. And so I'm just going to flip my camera here. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. And, all right. So I want to point out some specifics about what's happening here, especially here and here. I think, when I see an octave, right? Octave C, that's like big, like bam downbeat. That's like my instincts. I think most musicians would have that, and the experience of playing it reflects that, and also leading back up to that. Bump, 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 bump. Let's look into these notes right here, because I see a lot of transcriptions omitting the lower note of these double stops. Or I'll see this double stopped, and a lot of people will just write these top notes.
Of course.
Look at these notes right here, right? We're in the key of C minor. I mean, we can argue that, but we can argue
some
that.
ambiguity.
There is sorry, not C minor. Like, it's really, anyway, two flats, but I guess there's disagreement about like what is like home. What is home, right? Yeah. I hear this as Bennett does, as C minor being the home chord, right? That being one. Kind of Jason, question, do you also hear it like that? Do you hear it's like basically just C minor to F, C minor to F, or do you hear it differently? Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Magic changes. Yeah.
Okay. So look, this is very interesting. So C, it's really not even C minor. It's really just like C5 and C7, like C7, no third, right? We don't have a third until here. That's the only minor third we have, except for that, right? So it's really in a more open harmony. But we definitely clearly have an F right here. Okay. By the way, I also see most transcriptions leaving out that bottom F. It's not a huge deal, but I'm quite sure that this is FA down there.
I've never heard the A. That's wild.
Yeah, I also when I transcribed it, I left out the A.
No, it's down there though.
You don't. Oh, that's interesting. I see more transcriptions doing FA than FF.
No way.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, this is what I hear. But no matter, we have. I think people can agree we're going from C minor, C5, whatever, to F.
Yeah.
But look here, right? What do you see? This is like a lead-in to get back to that C minor. I think it's really interesting. And sure, like, whoever wrote this, they might not have been thinking so much theoretically rather than just like, oh, let's have like fifths down here. But at least since I'm coming from the perspective of like, what is the effect of it? Not what was the intention, but what is the effect and where should you hear it? Therefore, right? I see this double stop right here. FC, and in option 2, that would be downbeat, right? So I find it really jarring and disorienting to start the whole phrase on F, and then a eighth note later you have this really strong double stop implying like that. To me, this is the feeling of we're starting because we have this double stop, so you're going really quick from like FC, so you have like F sibida bump 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 F bump bump FC to bump 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 F dump bump FC to bump bump bump, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like can see that
can
speaking. Yeah,
that can certainly work as a rhythm, like but to me that requires so much more like additional like instruments to fill out that hit than option 3, which naturally places this double stop on 1, and then
Right.
this just becomes a lead-in back to get to 1 right on the downbeat, right? I think that's all I wanted to point out there. But yeah, I find this like a very interesting moment that tells a lot. That yeah. So yeah, I don't know if yeah. Did anyone like
No,
realize that specific, or
I'm with
does
that.
that make sense? Do you have any thoughts about
No,
that?
that does make sense,
Yeah.
actually.
That
Yeah.
I'm like so with the music theory explanation of that. I feel like I guess theoretically pattern based musician wise, option 3 makes sense. But like the fact is like I mean we're all like professionals, you know, like and we've
Yeah.
all felt it differently. I know I know personally like people with like monster dudes who feel differently than me and I'm like
Right.
I'm like heartbroken. I'm like I respected you, you know, like not really, but you know what I mean like it and that's like the crazy part, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's not like oh if you study enough music theory it's true because clearly we all feel different things. It's like something about like they're all the same velocity and it's like just the construction of the thing is weird and the haptics and I don't know like the dress thing like I was reading about that and the only conclusion they ever found was like it was it had to do more with like the lighting you're in and like how bright your phone screen is and how compressed the image is than like brain pattern gene things, you know what I mean? Like
Wow.
Uh,
I just can't. I feel like that's the only explanation for why everyone feels it differently is just like what Jason was saying originally, like your rhythmic what was the term you said? Like
Yeah, rhythmic reflex, like
yeah, your reflexes.
actually rhythmic or hearing reflexes.
Yeah, and just like what based on how many dresses you've seen in your life, what color you latch onto first, I guess. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird.
Yeah, and I do think hearing reflexes like that can be a thing. Sort of like, I mean, this is a little different. Kind of like when you have the people that aren't sure how to count off something. You know, because that's
Yeah.
another version of it. If you're not used to certain tempos, or if you're not used to certain
right.
pauses, and they'll get kind of mixed up, or their reflexes will go to a certain tempo, and maybe that's not the right one, but they'll just hear that naturally. Yeah, so I think so. Reflex is just when you naturally hear something, sort of like I mean, this is slightly related, but I think that it's kind of like there's this record, and I think I know why this happened. The band, the Ohio Players, on the album Fire, they have this drum intro that's legendary on this song called "I Want to Be Free," and it's legendary because the tempo that the drummer starts with is not the tempo of the song at all, and I think I know why. I think that he was trying to go for double time but missed. And he went with wherever he was comfortable with. But then once beat 1 comes, the human reflex, they know where the tempo is. So they just go to that tempo. And it's one of the craziest moments ever. So it's like the tempo's here. And I think that the drummer was trying to play it. But he plays slower because it didn't feel it. So it's like, diddle-diddle, 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 diddle-diddle-da-da-da-da, pop, 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 and the tempo just kicks up. And musicians are like, what? Come on, man. What the hell? But I think that his reflex just went to this slower tempo because it was a comfortable thing to play. But then once beat 1 hit, and what makes me think about that is a moment that happened in a rehearsal. This is another version of a similar thing where it was a musical theater production I was in, but the choir director, the director for the vocalist was not there, but the director for the dancers was. So, you know, it's the thing where he's like, all right, come on, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is not the tempo at all. But then the people come in singing at the right tempo.
Yeah.
And one of I think it was the percussionist in the verse was like, hey, man, watch what happens, man, when he counts us off. And I watched that, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. He was not in time. It was like not the tempo at all. But then when 1 hit, the singers just knew, okay, here it is. that's like another kind of like hearing rhythmical reflex where it just goes to a tempo. And I think that's why some people will hear things different. They may hear different things. They may
Yeah.
hear downbeats may come to them, or that's the thing. And
Yeah.
I think that's why we hear things in different ways. It depends on one's rhythm. God, I think I'll just call them rhythm reflexes. It's the
Yeah.
best way I can describe it.
I feel like what we would need to do is get literally a million people and reference their entire like Spotify history and their level of musicianship, where they're from, their family tree, their DNA, like everything, what music they like, who they are, what they eat for breakfast, and like put it in a crazy giant Reuben spreadsheet. And that maybe we'll find a pattern. I like because clearly, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but from my personal anecdotal experience, there's no single common thread that I have found between why anyone feels it a certain way, other than just like I don't know, like I never thought about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because I never thought about it until like our bass player is the one who brought this up, Marty Quinn, who's a professor at Frost. Like he was like, "Hey guys," and then it all just got violent after that. You know, like.
It's
I don't know.
interesting. Yeah, I've seen this debate pop up over the last few years, like here and there, but this is, I think, the most like I've ever seen it going crazy, and like so many people weighing in, and I don't know why now, but it's really taking off now, which is so cool.
We got
Yeah,
we got some big names weighing in. We got
you do.
Adam Neely to comment, although he didn't share which team he was on.
That's right. He's
Which
like,
drives me
wait till
crazy.
Oh,
you,
that's funny.
I think, or did he say something like that?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
that?
Didn't he say like, wait till you hear how I feel, or like something along those lines?
Something like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
something
I'm really
very.
curious. It was very cryptic. It was like,
And we got Zed weighing in. Did you guys see that Zed weighed in and Disclosure? And
he's option 3. What's Zed?
I think Zed is also option 3.
Okay.
Oh, there we
So
go.
that's a celebrity endorsement, I think.
Yeah, you know, we need to somehow contact Owl City. That's the only lead we have. Is like maybe it was him. Is the only thing the internet says. Oh, someone found copyright info. They are grouped by iPhone model. Do you know
Yeah.
which iPhone this premiered on?
Ooh.
It's
Oh,
iOS 7, right?
it was 2013, right? Is that right?
iOS 7 2013. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What iPhone had
What
iOS 7?
2018 would have been like the 6?
I think it's the iPhone 6.
The iPhone 5S and 5C shipped with the software pre-installed. It was supported on the iPhone 5, 4S, and iPhone 4. It was released in September 2013.
Okay.
If that helps you, Lexotica, who is finding the copyright info, which actually possibly could be the only thing that is concrete a thing that we have, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I want to temper.
This is like what I
Sorry,
Googled.
what's up?
There's no way there's sheet music for this. I feel like there's
No.
no way. There's no way, right?
And I want to set our expectations smartly about the likelihood of ever hearing back from Owl City. I know that Apple is famous for putting everything under NDA and not liking to talk about their system and their process. And also, the only reason that we even know that Adam Young of Owl City was involved in iOS 7 is because he put his credits for it on his website, but he took it down immediately after. And he hasn't made any public statements about it or done any interviews about it.
Oh, really?
No.
So it's possible that we're not even supposed to know that he was involved.
Oh man, that's fascinating. And that's also
It's a cover
heartbreaking.
up, man. It's a
That's heartbreaking too, because one of my I think bucket list things is to write some ringtones for Apple. I think it's probably what some a large swath of percussionists. They don't know it yet, but I think that is a dream. To like be the. And I actually am curious. Do you guys think that these were performed on a marimba, or it's all synthesized and digital instruments?
I feel like I bet it's like a Logic file because it was like, hey, look, our new DAW software. Look how cool it sounds, and also the velocity is like so entirely even for like the whole audio file. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I would guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it does sound like super, super, super clean, but honestly, I've never fully been able to know because there is a human element to it. It doesn't sound robotic to me. I think the same thing with all the other mallet ringtones, like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and
That
then
was.
what is it?
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah, that's so sick.
I
And,
forgot about that one. Yeah.
those are the three main ones, right? On
Hmm.
marimba, I think that last one is it marimba or is it xylophone? I can't remember. Whatever. But to me,
I
like,
think that might be marimba.
yeah, it sounds close enough. But
Yeah.
I don't know, Jason. Did you ever have you thought about like whether you thought these were played by real people or not?
It's funny. I hadn't per se, but I would, I guess that I probably assumed that it was just programmed in a keyboard, just
Right.
because I know there was a time where at that point clarity became important, and like using like electronic instruments for clarity became important. So I think that my assumption would be just keyboard, but I know what you mean. I do think that it was at least created with like musicians, just because there's things about piano and like marimba that's kind of close in terms of not exactly the same, but in terms of sticking, there's things that can work either way. So it probably was on keyboard, but simple enough to where you can adapt it to the instrument, to the vibraphone or the marimba.
Right. Right. Yeah. Ruben, I was wondering because like you were saying that you were option one, but you were not sure anymore. Like, what can you walk us through your process there and everything there? Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to see if I can try to make the case for option one, even though I kind of know that option one almost certainly is not the way the composer wrote it, and I'm well aware that option one is the least popular way that people hear it.
And remind us what option one is.
Option one is coming in on the. Oh boy, maybe I could just sing it. It's
I'll
it's
play
like
it.
this.
I'll play it to a metronome. Just tell me what beat to start it on.
It starts on the. It starts on the beat that comes after the E flat minor third thing. So you've got this beat, which is like the significant isolated one. That's the one where people who are on team 4 think it starts.
Okay.
The next beat, the next note, I should say, is on the 1 for people in option 1.
All right. So it's the first first of the double stops after the E flat G, right?
Exactly right.
So all right. So I got it. So it's like, can you guys hear this metronome?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 1. I honestly don't know if I'll be able to do this because it's so jarring. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right?
That's exactly it.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So I mean, it's interesting. Definitely not like how I would ever like innately hear it.
Same here.
But what's interesting is that everything can work if you just commit to it and like just lock into the rhythm. Any of these can work. That's the thing,
yeah.
which is so fascinating. Yeah. So yeah, take us through your process. Like, why do you think that you heard it like that, and how you may have thought otherwise since then?
Yeah. So this is how me and 7.3% of the population think about it.
Okay.
So you guys were talking earlier about how you hear version 3 because you hear the 1 coming in on what feels like the most significant note of the whole composition for you.
The most powerful, like, this is home, this is bam.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that the home bam is what drives a lot of how people find rhythm in something like this.
Right.
And it certainly drives how people hear version 4. So I'll get back to version 1 in just a second, but to take a detour into version 4, people who hear it as version 4 hear it with starting on this note right here.
Let's try that. Let's hear that.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I messed up somewhere.
I think you got it the second time.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
That has to be a quarter note.
Yeah.
Dum. Yeah.
Honestly, like I lose it when I'm playing it, and I just get lost in a sea of clicks.
Right.
It's so crazy. Bump, 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 bump. Yeah, I can't
It's
even
a
do it.
don't. Yeah. And that starts on one. On one.
Yeah, that puts the
Yeah,
E
right.
flat and G double stop on one.
Yeah.
That's different.
Anyway, carry on.
So anyway, so version 4 is surprisingly popular, and I think it makes sense that a lot of people hear that E flat G double stop as the home of the piece. I think one of the big contributors to that is because the biggest rest in the entire melody comes right before then.
Right before it.
So
Yeah.
that rest sounds like the end, and
On
therefore the
beat
note
3
comes right
too.
after the rest.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense, I think, that people would hear it that way. They hear silence, they say, okay, the ringtone's over.
Yeah.
Then they hear the first new note after silence, and they say the ringtone is starting right now.
Sure.
That's why people hear it as option 4, I think. The second largest rest in the entire composition is right after that first note for people who hear it as option 4.
Right.
So I think that's what contributes to people like me hearing it as option 1. They missed out, I guess, on recognizing the first rest as the end of the composition, but the second rest right there, which is the second longest moment of silence in the whole melody, then becomes the split point where the melody ends and then it begins again.
Right. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, why did you hear it as option 1 then versus option 4? Was it more just intuition, or did it come from analysis?
I was totally intuition. Like
Yeah.
it happened without my knowledge of it happening, without my knowledge that anybody could be hearing it any differently, which I think is the case for most people, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even after all this time that I've spent these last few weeks trying to hear it in the other rhythms, trying to play the drums to it with the other rhythms, still, when somebody's phone rings and I'm on the subway and somebody's phone rings on the seat next to me, my brain immediately hears it as option 1 every single time.
What I find fascinating about that is that the start of that is so far from the beginning of it. So it's like that seems so complex. I think the most basic thing and the reason why beat masking and beat tricking works is that people assume the first thing they hear, at least my experience, I assume this is the case for a lot of people. It's like you assume when you start hearing something that's 1. Like that's like the most obvious place your mind goes is like I'm going to hear these notes that are in time. Like these are all eighth notes except for the da ba da. And so I think that's a big reason why I first was hearing it on beat 1, just because that's the first thing that hits. So it's interesting that you would intuitively think option 1 and feel option 1, given that you have to wait a long time to get to the downbeat of the whole phrase. It's fascinating.
Yeah, people like me in Camp 1 think the only way to make it make sense is it just sounds like somebody clipped the start of the audio file incorrectly.
Right. That is so interesting. Now, tell us. What's interesting is that you say that you still hear it that way. You're just after your analysis, you think that's just not the right way. It's not the way it was written. It's not the way it's that makes most sense to interpret it. What would you characterize this process and change?
Well, it's very simple.
Yeah.
I talked to Bennett, and Bennett converted me, and now I'm a diehard hashtag Team 3.
There we go.
Oh, man. That's so funny. But you have the humility to you still don't, when you hear that ringtone, you haven't been converted. Your ear hasn't been converted, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's like you still feel it option 1, right? You just have been shown the way of option 3 and have faith in option 3.
There's rhythmic reflexes for sure.
Yeah.
Like I sometimes I work with students and I'm just clap on the downbeat and it's like a struggle because their body is used, it's like when you're learning a thing and they're playing it wrong and you're like, don't learn it wrong because it's going to be hard to unlearn. It's the same concept, I guess. We need the family tree. We need the 23andMe to figure out why
Yeah.
somewhere in the genes, you know.
And I was wondering, like a lot of people did bring up this trap remix, right? Which is probably the most popular version of this. That's not the ringtone itself. Is that correct? Would you say, Ruben,
Yeah,
especially?
probably.
And this has been around for a long time. I just want to pull it up. iPhone Trap Remix, 8 years ago, 81 million views. That's a lot of
Damn.
views on YouTube, right? So let's check this out. I think I have the ads. Okay, so if Ruben, if you're team 3, let's see if we can get Jason on team 3.
Wait, is the trap remix in Team 3? Because I
No,
kind of
no, no,
remember
no,
it
no, no,
being
I
no,
thought it
no.
was the other way, right?
Trap Remix is option 2, right?
Team 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But I was just saying now that we have, it's basically 3 on 1 right here. All right, I'm
Oh,
gonna
I
play.
see.
Let's look at this Trap Remix.
So sick.
Oh. That's where you heard it.
Okay. Obviously, I haven't listened to this that much. I knew it was Team 2. What does this do? It puts a rest. It takes out that note. Listen.
Oh, it turns it down.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah, he
Right?
turns
And
it way
so
down.
I think this, I mean, as was my hunch, and I should have listened to this before, and like I obviously would have presented that as some sort of thing to pay attention to. But the fact that, Team 2 is the majority, the fact that this has so many views, and the fact that there's a rest there and that you have people saying I hear it as a rest, I think that's like due to this in large part,
Probably.
right? Because like, yeah, I mean, 81 million views, that's no small number at all.
Right.
And it's like, you know, some sort of majority that counters how it seemingly a lot of musicians are feeling this. I don't think that just happens by accident, right? And I think like this isn't. I think it's. I would wager that like this has influenced the public perception more than we might have thought before.
Sure, yeah.
I
Sure.
wonder, and I didn't know about that rest. Like to me, that is an interesting detail, right?
I think
Um,
that combined with the haptics is a big reason why like so many people feel option 2, you
uh-huh.
know. But I will always hold true that music theory makes option 3 the most sound sense. You
I,
know?
and what's interesting is that this trap remix, like, it doesn't sound wrong to me or weird to me in this context. What they did with it, it's totally fine.
Yeah, it works.
I don't
Right.
hear, I don't hear like, oh, that's wrong. I just hear, oh, they shifted it and made a different beat around it, right?
Yeah.
And not hearing that note that would be on the downbeat, which would be that F and C double stop, um, uh, I think smooths it out because otherwise the fear was like, woo!
I didn't
Yo.
repeat that note.
All right, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back a
that's
little
pretty
bit.
sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a deserved 81 million views.
Oh yeah.
and I mean I think it's super hip that they did take it out because it does have that syncopation to it when you take it out, but also the chord does downbeat does hit that C and taking it out removes that F C double stop, which it's not like it wouldn't work, but it would be a little um, more complex maybe than they would have wanted. It's a little less definitive to have that F on the downbeat, right? So yeah, I'd be curious to know how many of those option tours like have heard this remix and were acquainted with this remix.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, that would be an interesting study.
Yeah, that
'Cause-
is. I hadn't
right.
heard that before.
Yeah. And
You
that's
hadn't
like I
heard
said.
it before,
I hadn't. No,
No, right.
but you still already felt option 2.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I felt it from the beginning.
I don't think it's an exclusive thing for sure. But I wonder how much that is an influence because it was referenced a few times. But yeah, this is in 2017. This ringtone of this remix was uploaded by Trap City. 13.9 million subscribers. We should have Trap City weigh in on this.
Right. That's a good point. But yeah,
yeah.
I can see that influencing some people. Somebody out of the 81 million.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I want to follow up. I don't know if Lexotica is still in this, but if not, I'm gonna DM them because they said they found some copyright info in their group by iPhone model. Like I feel like that would be the closest we could find.
yeah.
Even though Reuben, you're so probably right that it's like NDA'd, locked shut, like never getting out, sort of thing. We have to try.
I think it's
We
just
have
so
to try.
funny.
Otherwise,
Right.
my brain is going to keep arguing about this forever.
Right.
And I will not get a night of peaceful sleep.
It's just so funny, like how much they'll go just to like keep these things a secret. It's just so funny.
Oh, I mean, it's fun. Like the debate, like it's nice. It's like a pure, simple. It's like the dress, like it was so fun. Everyone was talking about it. And this one's like specifically for music theory nerds, so that's us.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Lex says he's still digging. It's a bit obtuse the way it's clumped.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, it must
Right.
be. I guess that information he's talking about. I guess.
Yeah. Man, it's a lot of info in that. Whatever. The iPhone 5S manual files and source files, whatever. Cool. All right. So I think there's maybe one option that we haven't touched on, not that wasn't reflected in yours, Reuben, but I think someone, maybe it was in a comment or even a DM. I think it was a DM I got from someone that was different than all these 4 options.
Wow.
And was like wild. Obviously there aren't, there's a limited amount of options. There's I suppose there are, what would you say, 16 options if we're starting on 8th notes?
Oh yeah. You talk about ands.
Well, it's a 2-measure phrase.
Yeah. So basically 8 times 2.
Oh yeah, there you
right.
go.
Yeah.
Assuming no one hears it on the second 16th note as the downbeat. That's probably but that is that is the first haptic though. That is the first haptic, right? It would be so interesting to hear it. 1, 2, 3, bum, ba-dum, ba-ba-da.
Oh God.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait a minute. That would be. That'd be. That's what it would be. Yeah, that's insanity.
That's awful. That should be illegal.
It would be that. That's
2, 3, that's
ands all day.
But the thing is, it's not impossible to play that. Like there's, if you have the drummer and the bass player doing it, let me see if I can try it. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I can't even play it. I'm into. Or 1, 2, 3. I can't even do it.
Yeah, no,
I lose it. I lose it.
On the upbeat.
You have to be on all 16th.
Yeah, you'd have to be on
the E's and the ands. The E's and the ands.
You got to be on the upbeats like that.
But no. But it's not. It's not. It's.
That's what I mean. Like,
Okay. Yeah. I can't. It's
Yeah,
hard. It's
that's
really hard.
insanity. Like that's one of those. If you haven't practiced, like that's a specific kind of practice. Really practice.
The deep shed.
Yeah, that's very specific and very very insane.
Let me try slowing down this BPM and trying it, because I feel a lot of my playing, I feel like over the past few years has been on like in that funky realm where it's like hitting a lot of those 16th notes off by one and etc. Um,
Dang, that's kind of fat though. That's nice.
Yeah, there's
It's
something to it.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I'm sure Owl City was definitely cooking like this for sure.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there's some information here from Exotica.
Oh yeah.
The ringtone is credited to Gerhard Lingling,
Wait,
the
where
guy
is
who
that?
started Magic Maker of Logic. He probably didn't actually create it, but holds the copyright, of course. I know someone who works with him will reach out. Okay.
Whoa.
Wait, what is
Whoa.
that? What did I miss?
Some info.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some intel from our mole in the field.
Let's hear it.
Exotica.
Let's hear it. What is it? Or was it a comment? Is that what it is?
I'm not seeing the comment, but Jason
Oh.
said, did he DM you, Jason?
Gerhard
No,
Lenglen,
it's in the comments. It's
the
in,
guy who started Magic Maker of Logic. He probably didn't know, actually created, but holds the copyright. Knows someone who works with him, will reach out. That's sick.
wow.
Epic. Thank you, Lexotica. Yeah, so that version that I just played and was almost getting, it's really not that hard. It's just shifting what from option 3, which is so in my head, to forgetting that and just like learning. Once I learn the rhythm, then it's not hard to play. But obviously that's not like, that'd be extremely complex for someone to get that from just a cappella marimba. That would be very impressive, right?
Yes.
That'd be
Yeah.
super, super cool. Because it is funky and it is hip and it's got this like Latin bounce to it. I would love to do a version like that with the band. I think that would be killing. Actually, what would be
Good
cool?
luck with that one.
What would be cool is to do a cover of it where you go through all the different versions and you change the
Ooh.
beat. That would be kind of fun, right?
That's very cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty. Actually, I had the other day. I had the thought like, why not do these in performance? These ringtones, and like, because like I've quoted them at times,
Yep.
or like jammed on them. Maybe like even did a blues form with them. But like, what if we're actually gonna do a whole rendition of this iPhone, iPhone ringtone. I think it'd be cool. Like these are like some of the most well-known sound bites in modern history, like without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
In fact, I'm trying to remember, man, what was that ringtone? I don't know why I'm thinking about this right now.
Yeah.
But there was like a fusion band ringtone. And one of those companies had, I was like, damn, it was like one of those options. And
Oh,
I
really?
think that it was like the ringtone, but it was arranged for like a band with like electric bass and horns. And yeah. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? Really? Like a lot of like effort went into that.
Oh, yeah. I
Was it
don't know that
iPhone?
one.
Man, I gotta damn. I don't think it was this one, but it was one of those ringtones. I don't know if it was like Nokia or if it was it. I'd have to look it up. I just can't. But I know that there was one of those that was like had this fusion band arrangement, and that one was a trip.
Epic. Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah, ringtones are killing.
Yeah.
man. So we just gotta
You
hit
know
up
what?
Gerard, I guess, right? That's like
Yeah.
the next
Let
step.
me do some
I
research.
Be the
have
next
sent him an
step.
email.
Oh, you have?
Say, I sent him
Okay.
an email yesterday because someone on the internet DM'd me and said, "Hey, by the way, my dad's friend is Gerhard Lengeling, and he
Wow.
is the composer, or he's in charge of the composition team for iPhone Sounds." And so I sent him an email, but who knows, you know?
That's
Man,
pretty
yeah,
epic. That's pretty epic, though. Like, please keep us posted on that. I know you
Sure.
would. But yeah, you are currently the you're the head of this operation, like the pioneer in this field, which we appreciate very much.
I hope y'all are ready to hit
Yeah.
the cease and desist from Apple. Enjoy your last days on this app. It's coming for us.
That's hilarious. Um, did we leave out anything? I feel like we covered everything I expected to cover. Trying to think if we was there anything in the comments that we skipped over? I don't know. I don't know. Thanks to everyone here, by the way, all 17 of you that are currently here.
That's right.
But we've had quite a number of people come through, which have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun to have like the music corner of the internet like united in some strange thing. It's like
Yeah.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
you know?
United in disunion, in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Right.
you know, when you have different views of things, but both can come together and talk about it, and that's how it works.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh, Paigey says, I missed it. What was the agreed time signature? I
Agree,
mean,
disagree.
Yeah, I don't know if we really have one.
yeah, I mean, I guess, we can't speak for the larger population, obviously, but it seems like we have three people that say option three is the most logical way to, maybe not the most logical, but the most natural way of interpreting it, perhaps.
I think option three has the most, I
Music.
guess, like, I guess logic behind it of like, it's got the music theory thing, the audio file starts there, and I guess that's really it. Versus option two being like, well, people feel that way naturally. That like I don't think there is any definitive answer until
Yeah, there's no definitive
it
answer.
comes
But
down
like,
from the heavens.
me hearing it as three was never influenced by taking a look at it or transcribing it. That's why it's not, for me. It's not
Right.
logic. It's not based in logic, but I use it to like, to illuminate some of the properties of it, to say why I think I feel it like this. But for me, it's just like to me, and I've heard this comment before, like people who think option two, those are clap on beat one and three people, because it is like
Those are fighting words.
Right.
it's very march. It's like marchy.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas option two,
Thank you, Lex, for all the help.
Yeah.
you can't. Yeah, you wouldn't clap it like you could, but even if you do that, it still sounds more hip because the way that the syncopations are falling with the chord changes, right? But clapping on 2 and 4 for that, that works. Clapping 2 and 4 for the
Right.
there's something weird about that.
Hmm.
The thing is,
Right.
like, you can, like I was saying earlier, you can make any of them work. Um, you really can, right? And it's just
Yeah.
about like highlighting the hits that need to be highlighted. And I think because we're dealing, especially with this acapella marimba thing,
Yes.
you don't. Most people, I think, aren't going to fill in like an imaginary beat around the marimba. So it's like I think I just naturally hear as a marimba player, like and not you don't have to play marimba, but I just naturally hear these like accents falling on those syncopations. Like I just naturally hear. And I don't know how much is just I've like brought to the table and how much it really is there, but and especially because they're emphasized with the double stops. Like I think as a mallet player, double stops or just like playing more notes to me, that's like this is like the structure. This is the shell of it. This is the architecture.
I hear it as the bass line that's
Like the
more
bass,
defining the
sure,
groove than the melody is,
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
or just did I hear that? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And option 2 being
Yeah.
which is cool. It's a cool option, but I think only when you fill it in with the rhythm section hitting that and of one with you. Because then it's pops, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying earlier, to me, it's just unusual to go from that F C on the downbeat straight to like C double stops being like this is a big beat, big accent. To me, it's just strange. I'm probably reading into it a little bit too much, like from a theory perspective, but that's just my take on that. But I just like that they all can work. They all can work. Yeah. So there's no like real right or wrong. It's just like
Yeah.
what is the most natural thing for people to hear. And yeah, to me it's always been just fascinating. Not that there were other ways to hear it, but that option 3 was in the minority, like by far. That's been the most fascinating thing. But interesting to see how your poll, Ruben, is like what do you say, 30% option 3?
Yeah,
That
34.7%
like
option 3.
that's like over 3 times some of the polls that are on Instagram for option 3. That's a huge discrepancy, right?
That might be because everybody who's in option 4 is getting funneled into option 2 since there is no option 4 on Instagram. So it's blowing up that percentage. You know what I mean?
Wait, it's blowing up option which one?
So in the original Instagram video, I didn't drum option 4. So I was sort of sidelining about 20% of the population. Probably all of those people ended up voting for option 2 because that's more similar to option 4. And so that would have drove the option 2 slider higher and therefore made the option 3 more of a minority.
No, but you're on Instagram is what. Wait, no, I'm confused because in the poll online, it's just option 3. That's what you're saying. I see. Wait, is that what you're saying?
What I'm
But
saying is there was no option 4 in the original video that I posted. So there was nowhere for those people to go vote.
But
Oh, okay.
why would that make people go to 3 though?
It would make them go to 2, which would mean 2 was going to have a larger pie slice, which then would mean 3 would have a smaller pie slice, specifically on Instagram.
Oh, specifically on Instagram. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know because I think the people that let's assume the same. I mean, we have to talk about like who are the people that are actually going on the poll, but like I think the people who don't vote on Instagram option 3 are not going to then vote on for option 3 on the poll. Like you're not going to like go from option 4 to 3. like option 4 on Instagram and then, oh, no, option 4 on the poll, I'm going to go to 3. I don't see that happening.
But it could have been the same people voting for option 3 on Instagram and on the official poll. It's
Yeah.
just that the poll gave a voice to the people who were voting for option 4. So it made option 2 less of an overwhelming majority.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. It's the same amount of people, just option 2 has been gone, goes down. Right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what you, oh, sorry. Like,
Yeah.
It's option 2 being reduced, not option 3 being boosted.
Yeah.
That's your point. No, I get it. I get it.
Does that make sense even? I don't know. I think
No,
math
but
actually kind of doesn't
I
work.
don't think that makes sense because
No, it doesn't.
you're saying that it's only on Instagram with option 4, right? And the poll has only 3?
On Instagram, there's only 3 options. Yeah.
Oh, wait, all right. Well, no, there's one. You did 2 versions, and one of them has option 4. No.
Yes. So there's actually 3 videos on Instagram, each with their own poll and their own weirdnesses. I think conclusion really to be drawn is I don't know what's making people vote differently on these different videos and different.
Yeah. But your observation, with like the more musical experience goes up, the more people, the bigger chunk is 3. Like that's interesting data right there, right?
There you
Do you
go.
see any other trends? What's that red bar?
Red bar is option 2, but it's pretty consistent across the different levels of experience.
What's that first bar with the blue?
Blue is option 1.
And that's no experience?
Oh yeah, so the first column's no experience. So it's a lot of unexperienced people who hear it the way I do.
Oh, interesting.
And then incredibly unpopular for all of the people with some music experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I think this is the next step for team 3. I think we need to make, and it's hard because 81 million views. I think we need to make a remix or some version that goes viral that has a band or remix around it, whatever. That's
Influence everyone, yeah.
I think we need to do that.
Yeah, that's being a real influencer, all right.
No, I mean, I don't actually, it doesn't, I don't, I'm not trying to get people to hear it a certain way, but I think that's what would need to be done in order to show people, I guess I just want to show people that like it's not crazy, because there's so many people who are like, everyone who thinks it's option 3 is like out of their mind, and I understand that like you don't have to hear it that way, but like for people to think like that's crazy, I guess like the way I think other ones are crazy, not option 2. I don't think option 2 is crazy. But some of the other ones are like, wow, like we could make that work if we put the beat around it like that. But to hear it a cappella like that is very fascinating to me. Like option 1 is fascinating. Like that to me is so much more complex than option 2 or 3 that it boggles, that blows my mind. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like the people with no musical experience are hearing it like that, it is very interesting. It's very, very interesting to me. So yeah.
I'm curious, Jason, now that we've gone over this for like an hour, are you still a staunch option 2er, or what is your feelings?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think my feeling was more with Jake's point of like, any of those can work. Because, I mean, I think that 2 is what's most comfortable with me, but 3 does make sense. Starting on 1 and where the like, doom, doom, don't. That does make sense. And that can definitely work. But I'll admit, though, that part of me has practiced, and this is why I talk about like rhythmic reflexes. I've practiced listening to music on different parts of the beat.
Cool.
I've practiced that. Like, let me see if I can hear this where it starts on the end of 1. And let me see if I can hear this. In fact, there's a great, there's an album that was released in 1987 from saxophonist Donald Harrison and trumpeter Terrence Blanchard. They had a quintet called Harrison Blanchard. To me, one of the most underrated bands in the history of music. Their music did not get a lot of attention, unfortunately, but there was an album called Crystal Stare. And the title tune was written by Donald Harrison. And the premise is there was a bass vamp, and you could hear it on either the upbeat or the downbeat, and it works. And they're actually playing like that, like it's written like that. And there's solos where the bass will be, the figure was like, I think like ding do ding ding dong dong ding, be do ding 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 do ding ding dong dong ding, be do ding ding dong dong ding do ding ding dong dong be do be ding dong dong ding, be do ding dong. You could hear it on either side of the beat, and it worked
Cool.
on either one. So it's sort of like, I mean, there was a beat one, but it was letting you know, like, yeah, but you can hear it this other way, and it's cool. And the solos are even structured actually to where, all right, this part of the solo, because it was a form, but this part of the solo will have the bass vamp on like the
That's
upbeat,
sick.
and then this part it'll be on the downbeat. Yeah, it's wild.
That's
So
super cool. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
with that, yeah, I'm, like I'm leaning towards you, but I'm not going to say that, oh, this other way is wrong and this is
No,
other,
I'm the
those other
same
ways
way.
can
Like,
work.
yeah, like clearly, undeniably, there's many ways to feel it.
Yeah,
Um, I'll still put money on option three, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we'll ever have beyond a reasonable doubt until Gerard comes in and says that he composed it or not.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
On a slightly related note to what you were saying, Jason, about like things can be felt in different, you can really adjust how you feel, where you put one or where you put the groove. One thing I do over the last few years, I've done quite a bit of free improv, and especially free improv in the realm of groove and funk and, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I find that there, every so often there comes these moments where it's usually like me on vibes and there's drums and bass and maybe a horn player. We lock in so tightly, but there's no sense of where one is. It's like really like it's just free flowing time, and like there's accents and there's syncopation, but it is just this always like here's one or lack of one, whatever. It's just one long string, and I find those some of the most fun moments and
absolutely. Yes.
very hard to reproduce by writing it out. You have to really feel it in the moment. And to me, some of my favorite moments playing live are those moments where there is so much ambiguity, but it doesn't matter because like it's like there's so much like tightly locked in funky rhythmic stuff happening, right?
Yeah, where it can be hard to tell where one is, or like this hilarious story that I heard. I heard it from someone who heard it. There was a story I think told by the great drummer Peter Erskine
Hmm.
when he was in the band Weather Report. And apparently, I don't know if this was rehearsal or when this was, but they were playing some tune, and I think Peter Erskine at a certain point said, "Man, where's one?" And Joe Zavino said, "Man, fuck one." And I would have laughed so hard. I wouldn't have been able to stop it and crying laughing. But the thing about it though, Weather Report does have music like that, especially
oh yeah,
live. Like because there's a thing on what is it, the legendary live tapes, and those were recordings that Peter Erskine had from gigs. So
Mm,
it wasn't even like edited and all that. It was just here you go. And like
Mhm.
there's those times where they get into those grooves where you can tell it's not really about where one is. You might know where it is,
right.
but it's not about that. It's just like a feeling of emotion of a shuffle and a beat. It's not about here it is on the tire. It's just not about that. They're just in this particular space. But
Su-
anyway, yeah, when you said
Super
it
cool.
reminded me of that. That's just hilarious.
That is so funny. And I love that too because I feel like so much of modern music is very like this is the beat from the beginning till the end. Like there's never going to be a doubt. Like the beat is going the whole time.
Yeah.
Very much like, in it the whole time, really making it super clear. I think that's just my sense of like modern production, modern pop music,
Oh yeah,
modern
absolutely.
hip
Yeah.
hop, and all that stuff. It's like even the construction of music. Like a lot of times, it starts with a beat and it's just copied, pasted, or like elements are subtracted. But like it's always pretty much like a pretty clear like kick pattern or some sort of pattern that remains more or less constant, and that has really narrowed the range of form that we get these days. That's that's not across the board, but I would say in pop music
Yeah,
especially. Yeah.
definitely in pop music, definitely like corporate run pop music, because a lot of the more mainstream pop music on the radio, as I like to refer to as post telecommunications act music, because yeah, 'cause, yeah, and musicians think that I'm crazy because I've gone on various discussions about that, but where the corporations came in and just bought up all radio and said, okay, you're playing this, but I'd like to shut up, you're playing this. You're not playing any of that. And, I don't think it's a coincidence that teen pop really took off right after that, and they started controlling those people. In fact, I even had a friend that told me a story about he went because there was a club looking for a DJ. And man, the story he told me was frightening, because he was like, man, let me just go ahead and check it out. And he was asking about DJing, and he was talking about something. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was about mixing or scratching or something. And they told him, oh, we don't fool with anything that complicated. He's like, what? What do you mean? I mean, what if I want to bring in these? And they're like, no, 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 no. They're not going to bring the records. No, we have a list. It's like, what? Well, man, why don't you just get a CD changer and just do that? No, man, but we need a DJ to hype up the crowd and to get people in it, man. I'm like, well, what's the list? Here you go. He looks at it, and at the bottom was a logo for Clear Channel. And this was at a nightclub. And,
Wow.
and then he tells me, yeah, those songs that you hear all the time on radio and on TV? Yeah, they're all on this list. And I'm like, oh, boy, corporate dictatorship. So I think what you're saying, like, it is very, like, tightly controlled, like it's going to start on this beat. Rather than in the 80s, you would have lots of examples of things starting on these weird beats. Another example, and I had to sit down and study this one, was Shaka Khan's hit "Ain't Nobody." Now, the radio doesn't play this, but if you have the record, which I think was on live at Stomping at the Savoy, it was a live record. All of a sudden, you hear this synth figure in 9/8.
Really?
Yes, because I was like, when I heard that, I'm like, hold on, okay, let me rewind. I'm gonna sit with this one for a minute. It was like, it's just real fast. And then all of a sudden, there's these rim shots that come in on like the end of one, and then the music comes in on beat two. It's like, and you're like, whoa, where are we? What in the world?
Yeah.
But yeah, like the beginning of Ain't Nobody, it's wild.
Could that be from an arpeggiator?
I don't know. It could be. I don't know. Maybe that first phrase, but it was a figure that was in 9/8 or hell 9/16. But it was a constant thing. And then when those drums come in, it's like on the end of one.
Right.
So they're like, yeah, we're gonna hide this for a minute.
But I also think that, your point about it's certainly valid about the corporatization of music and teen pop, etc. But just the process of music making and how, what the barriers to entry and what do you need, what skills do you need, what tools do you need to be a music producer in the modern era. And like in the old era, like you needed, first of all, money to like make it happen. You needed a producer, you needed musicians, you needed an arranger, you needed, more like traditional musical, let's say, talent, not just like being able to construct, not like no dig at producers. And there's obviously so much talent, but like it's pretty much anyone. Like you don't even have to do anything. You could like take in stuff from Splice now and like it tells you what to do. But let's say you're constructing it from scratch. Like all you need to do is like be able to like click in where you want the sounds to be, right? And like that doesn't take the same understanding of music or the same feeling. You don't have to perform it, right? So you're more a technician of through time, and everything is on a grid and quantized, and you can copy and paste, and just like the whole construction of music has been made very, very accessible and very easy, and the market for the music is completely happy with this type of music making generally, right?
Yeah, I think that things are gonna slowly go the other way.
Oh, absolutely.
Because,
I sense that as well. But I think like over the last 10 years,
but yeah,
especially, and the last like 30 years, or probably, hip,
that's
from,
true. Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, we were trained to worship celebrity.
that's part
That's
of
what
it too.
happened.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I think that when you had people like Michael Jackson who became and Prince who became like bigger than life, people were like, "Oh my God!" We like they thought that, and they didn't get into like the hard work. And I think that then you start to get like these stage parents that just want their kids to be famous
Uh-huh.
and so forth. And I mean, full disclosure, this is on a smaller level, but I'm going to even include my brothers Branford and Winton too. They're not as big as Michael Jackson and Prince, but there were similar things that happened because they started getting, like major exposure. And Branford even told me a story about this one kid whose parents, was just interested in him being a star. He was just a horn player. And so they
Right.
take him to Branford, and Branford's like, "Oh man, let me hear him play." And he plays one thing, and Branford's like, "Oh, that's not bad. Play something else." He plays the same thing. And, Branford's like, "Yeah, the kid's not really ready. His music, he's got his
Yeah.
head on." So then they decide to go to Winton. Okay, that's worse. That's not going to help at all. Winton's going to tell you the same thing. And I
Yeah.
think that's what happened. But it's like you get parents that get into their kids being stars, not their kids knowing music and like knowing music and being able to being knowledgeable to do whatever kind of music they want. And I think that a lot of parents ironically, people, they became stars, but a lot of parents, they were more interested in the star route and not about the music route. And so then at the same time, music is slowly being watered down and dumbed down. You have more and more computers being used because it's the new sound. And then all of a sudden, auto-tune becomes a thing because it's the new sound. And it just keeps. So now I think people are at a point where they're starting to say, wait a minute. It's sort of like when things go too far. They're like, oh, hold
Right.
on. How did we get to this point? Wait, that's
Yeah.
AI? Wait a minute. How did we get like, well, yeah, it's been kind of building there for a while.
Yeah.
Um, it took you a while to notice, but it's been building, and
Oh yeah,
now
yeah.
here we are.
I wanted to. I don't know if you guys have time, but I did want to maybe switch to a discussion about AI in music. I thought that'd be a little fascinating to get your
Yeah.
perspective. But I hear you, Jason. I've generally, I've thoughts about AI, but one of them is that it's just the most recent thing in a long line of developments in music that, and sure, it might be the first time it's generative, but like to me, it's not producing stuff that's wildly different than humans have been, or the process hasn't, it's not that different than what's the difference if like the AI makes the beat for you, or you have someone like constructing a beat that they've already produced, or they're just following a formula, and it's just like, oh, I know how this genre needs to be produced, and they're just like doing it themselves. To me, it's just like an assistant in that way. Like, sure, it might be generative, but like, and I'm disregarding any like talk about ethical things, but like just the process of it. To me, it doesn't have to be seen as this like breaking point of like this is like new territory. Um, it's part of this long line in like bringing music into this technological age. But yeah. Anyway, that was just my comment about AI.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think that there's been like a long slippery slope,
yeah,
but it's the kind of thing that like it can be hard to conceptualize that unless you think about like where music has been and where it's going, especially where music has been. I don't think a lot of people really think about where music has been.
right.
They just think about like where we are now and where it's going, and that's it. They don't really think about, and I tell you, the first time for me that I thought about where music had been was when and I think this was in high school, when I found out that Branford and Winton actually played in a funk band when they were in high school. It was called the Creators, and that they would play these school dances and so forth.
Uh,
And so I'm like, wait, y'all played school dances? Wait, y'all? Because by the time I got to high school, there were no bands playing in school dances. They
okay.
were all, in fact, by the time Delphio, who's younger, he's like fourth in line. When he got to high school, there were no bands playing school dances. They were all replaced by DJs. Yeah, and it's not even anything against DJs, because I think that it is good to have DJs like in a club, the way that they spin records, but it's unfortunate that started to replace bands. So I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. But I don't know if the average person is really going to notice because, they're just at the club having fun, shaking their ass. So they're not noticing like, yeah, we're getting less musicians as time is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been like this slow, long, slippery slope to where I think now folks are saying, wait a minute, how did we get to this point? But it's been a long, slippery slope for a while.
I mean, yeah, and also like as we get these computerized productions, right? Like that is the sound of the hit. Like, sure, I mean, and there is definitely more appetite, I think, recently for live bands doing covers of these produced hits. In fact, I'm doing one tomorrow. There's this thing in LA called the series is Covers for Lovers, put on by Slow Jams, and it's been going on for about a year now. And they do, it's like a large ensemble, like 9-piece, 10-piece ensemble doing covers of modern R&B songs, R&B, soul, neo soul, hip hop, pop, whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they'll sell out 2 sets, 180 people each, and I'm playing the one I'm playing tomorrow. I think it's even bigger venue and it's sold out in a few hours. So it's just one example of like, there is appetite for, real groups playing modern music. Anyway, that was a bit of an aside, but like
no, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like obviously if you hear if the hit, you want to hear the hit in the club and like, people are going to be completely satisfied, of course, like hearing the hit, how it sounds with its the way all the elements, and the way to be most true to that is to just play the recording itself, not to have musicians do it. That wasn't and also with the advent of like modern sound systems, in clubs,
Oh yeah.
like that's a more recent phenomenon than, let's say, the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, and like you couldn't just put on a recording and have the sound of a big band like with all the instruments. So like there was a necessity, that you kind of make use of the technology of the time to like produce the most dancey things. And because so much of modern music is based on the subs, and sure, you could have that done live, but it's going to be most effective, I think, especially for people that aren't there to see live musicians doing, if you just play the cut itself. And so that's why DJ, all you need is a DJ just calling the shots, and that's fine. I will say though, I think on the other end of the spectrum, I think electronic music is truly like the ultimate so far art of technology. Like that to me is the most like our modern classical music, like using the technology to produce something that's novel. Like I think you find that most in electronic music. And what's interesting to me is that electronic music is generally instrumental music, right? Sure, you do have stuff with lyrics, but to me, like that is kind of like the modern like 30s big band swing. You could make a case for that. Like that is might be the closest analog to where you have like huge crowds coming to see a DJ play, and they're coming for the music. Like the people at those, like, it's not just to go to the club and drink. Like they're going to these EDM shows like for the music and to dance, right? And these are genres that are built up on what you can do with the computer artistically and sound design and all that stuff. And I've I do enjoy a lot of electronic music. I don't tend to listen to it a lot, but I really really like it and appreciate it. And I don't know if you've ever done this, Jason, but I absolutely love playing along to like what's playing over the sound system. Like if you happen to have a vibraphone, it's so fun, right? And playing along to electronic music is particularly fun because it's very simple. The time is taken care of, and the harmony tends to be quite simple. One chord or 2 chords, and you can really just vibe over it and just like play lines over it, and it's just fun. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but
Oh yeah, I think the one of the funniest things that I remember, I actually was on a gig with someone, I forget who this cat was, but he was dealing with electronic music. It was me
Yeah.
on drums, a keyboard player, and he had like some electronic sounds, and he also played trumpet too. It was really interesting. We were playing different grooves. So then there's this one, and this is what I love doing. Because nobody really thinks to do this. It was this one groove that was like a medium tempo. So, but what I started doing was playing like a traditional New Orleans groove, but like very traditional because nobody thinks about. It's kind of like like you hear a lot of talk about old music and new music and music that's not relevant. Music needs to stay in the past and this and that. Instead of we can use all of it interchangeably. So I'm playing like this very basic, like jump, 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 that you would never think to put in electric music, but I'll do it. So I'm doing it, and the guy was stunned. Afterwards, he's like, "Wow, man, that fit perfectly. Man, I couldn't believe it." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, go on." Yeah, I know that, but okay. But I can tell he probably never considered that in his life. But and it worked. So
It's fascinating. And to me, I think I'm with you where I think I have a more of a bird's eye view of all music, and I don't I understand or I see like how music has been so compartmentalized into genres, but like rhythmically, I there to me everything is related so much, and it's not that much of a stretch to go to put this thing in this style or this thing, and it's easy, and it's a fun thing to do. But yeah, I think some people like really lock into the particularities of a genre, and even the song perhaps like what I find is that it's rare that a genre will surprise me like in a way that's like, oh, I haven't heard something like this before, but that also means that I can rarely like it's rare that a song like captures my attention so much that I remember that song specifically. Like usually it's like, oh, I've heard stuff in this vein, but I can't name the artists or the songs
right.
that make it up, um because they're all sharing like a sound world that is very similar. So I think it really still comes down to like the songwriting itself. It's like which of these has the memorable hook and melody and whatever's going on, rather than just these are the sounds we hear, these are the rhythms we hear, the stock generic fundamental way of building up a certain genre, which I think so much, like I was saying, so much of music making these days is tends to like, maybe it doesn't intend to start like that, but it just ends up going that route because it's so easy to like, all right, here's this layer and now we add this and this and this and then we have this song, rather than like I think when you try to write a song from scratch that's just like, let me get the melody, lyrics,
Yeah.
and chords and then produce it from there, I think the production becomes so much more specific if you start from that rather than, okay, let me start with the foundation of, all right, here's the groove, here's like the chords, and like let's write a vocal melody on top of that. And no shade to that, and obviously a lot of music these days is made like that, and I think it also lends itself to the phenomenon I think is happening, which is the vocal is stronger than ever these days. Like the emphasis is on the vocal recording, on vocal production. It's on the singer, on their voice, and I think that's another reason why I think AI, like use of AI, as long as you then just put this real singer over it, I don't think there's going to be a huge difference in the output, like noticeable by like the majority of people, especially if they're not really paying attention, because there's so much emphasis on the vocal as the element that is the featured thing, and everything
Yeah.
else is like, it can be stock, it doesn't matter, like you can use the same splice sounds, you can use the same set of instruments and the same groove. Like every trap song has the same beat, right? It's
Oh
the
yeah.
same thing, right?
Listen, this is
It's
why the iPhone ringtone is the ultimate
yeah,
competitor to corporatized music, because You can feel it in all these different ways. It's instrumental. It is like a vague. It's like Joe Zawinul would be like, yeah, bro, like it's fuck the one, you know, fuck the
Yep.
corporate, fuck the AI. It's the future, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Anyway, I don't know how I wasn't intending on going longer than 2 hours. Do you guys? Does anyone have to go right now?
I should get going pretty soon. I was hoping to get some work done on some stuff
Okay, okay,
today.
yeah, sure. Let's. I guess wanted to hear from because I know I've been hogging the conversation with Jason. I wanted to hear from you, Reuben and Bennett, about AI in music, broad strokes, or I was just curious to see what you guys, because this is the most divisive
Bullshit, man.
topic, the
It's
most
fucking
divisive.
bullshit.
But but but
Oh yeah.
but can you be
I,
more specific? More specific, because
No, I
like
mean y'all are right. Music, there's a difference between like corporatized music and like artistic expression music. And
yeah,
we live in this late stage capitalism thing, and they're just trying to
yeah,
farm money in any place they can. You
totally.
know, like it's the music business has always been since day one exploitation of
Mhm.
artists and the
Right,
musicians. Like that, it's not a new thing. It's just a new means of doing it. Like
right.
I don't think anyone has any illusions about that. And I'm with you. Like maybe it could be a cool tool of like generating ideas or whatever. But like Jason playing that fucking crazy beat over the electronic thing, that is
Yeah,
always the most raw,
totally.
coolest, genuine human being thing ever. That's always
Right.
what it's about. And the AI thing is just to make money for some rich assholes and like yeah, okay, what else is new? You know?
Oh,
Yep.
complete. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And I want you to weigh in, Ruben. But I think like I want to divorce it from like what are the intentions, who's behind it, and just like think of it as a tool. And is there a way that we can, just like there was pushback for every piece of technology that has come about with music, from drum machines to
Yeah,
DAWs to
I
auto
think it's a
tune
tool to
to
make more
everything.
money. I think also that drummers are like probably better musicians who are going to get more calls versus a dude who has only just owns a drum machine and can press the buttons on it. Like if you can do both, then you're diversifying. Just like AI maybe can be a tool, but if you are someone who like only has grown up practicing AI music and can't play a G major chord on guitar, like number one, you probably won't get called for as many gigs. You're gonna have a day job, and at the end
Completely.
of the day, like on like it's just less cool. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one other thing I wanted to add to is that I
Yeah.
will admit this. I think that technology is, I think, good when you're. I think technology. This is something I did think about. I think that technology is good when you're adding and not subtracting. I
Facts, yeah.
think that when you're like for example,
Mhm.
the one time that I've heard about like AI being for something that I honestly could see myself using is when it was used for recording, but it was used for like these recording tapes where something needed to be remixed and you couldn't do it from just an analog cassette, but AI
Mhm.
allowed you to isolate these tracks from this cassette
Yeah.
and then make like do like a new mix on a new recording. At least that's like in addition.
Yeah,
And that's something that and I don't know like other ways of doing that, but it is something that
yeah,
I have thought about because there are recordings of shows, and I'll just leave it at
Right.
that. Where I'd like to, wow, could we take that out and do this
yeah.
and do that? Yeah, but that's
It's
Hey,
like
like
when you're adding more music
that
rather
the
than
that's
art.
like the more
Yeah,
technical aspect. And I think, there's been like, automated mixing, mastering. I don't think no one's been like, maybe except for like mixing and mastering engineers who don't want their jobs to go away. But like, I don't think there's like this much controversy over like automated mixing and mastering, which is maybe seen more as, although it is creative, is seen more as like this technical thing that like technology can take the reins of. Whereas like modern generative AI is like, oh, it's like making the bread and butter, meat and potatoes of it.
yeah.
Um,
Like the art
yeah,
of sampling goes just as deep as like the art of playing guitar. You know what I mean? Like there is creativity and human expression in that, and it's an innate thing.
right.
Just like the art of like programming a sick groove on a like 909 versus playing it on drums. Like it's a
Right.
sick groove either way, and you're expressing yourself. But the
Right.
art of typing in a prompt and
Yeah.
having Suno make you the song
Right.
is like it just can't go as deep. It can't. I don't
Right.
know.
To me, I'm thinking more like because I downloaded Suno back in November just to try it out because I was like I should know what this does, what it can do, and I was very excited about it for about a week, and it was fun to use, but I was never thinking, oh, I'm like a musician here. No, I'm a producer. I'm like I am on I'm a level up. I'm like the producer in the studio who's like giving out ideas and then the band comes up with it. So I felt more and also like a collaboration kind of it was a way to interface with like music of the past, but as a producer. And I found it as this like fun thing and just like I was finding myself like my jaw dropped is like, oh my God, like this is actually incredible, like that we've able to just get to this point that we can make something that does this. Like it's an impressive achievement, you know. But I think the fact that I haven't used it for months now, it shows that it's not a music making tool. It is a music imagining tool.
It's like a music consumption tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but everyone I showed it to, they all had the same reaction, like, "Whoa, this is crazy," right? So I think there is this like we can all agree that like there's something like extremely impressive and like entertaining about it, and it's just like
Yeah,
look what we've been able to achieve. I mean, the same thing goes with all the AI video. It's like it's crazy like just you just take yourself back of 10, 20, 100 years whatever, and it's like how like what is, I mean, other than the fact that we have all this
Right.
technology, it's like how can you just produce this from nothing, or not from nothing, but just it just blows my mind. That's all I'm trying to say.
it's super
Yeah,
cool to
yeah,
press a button and be like, I made a song. But it's way cooler to play the instruments and write the thing and make the everything
yeah.
and produce
Oh,
it
but
and
i
be
i
like, I made a
never
song, you know?
I never felt like, oh, I made this. No, like
That's
not
the
at all.
thing.
The only thing I guess is like it was like a collaboration when I would feed it something I had recorded, and I used it mostly like that. I wasn't as into like typing in just prompts and just text. I was mostly into feeding it stuff I had recorded or doing a cappella stuff. Something that was really fun is just singing random stuff a cappella and saying like musical theater orchestral accompaniment. It's just like a fun
Yeah, it's
thing.
fun.
It's fun, like would I ever release this stuff? No. Do I
Yeah.
do I think it could be a great tool to audition ideas for arrangements and like genres for a song? Yes, I think it's
Yeah,
a
I can
use
see
it's
that.
a use case, yeah. The ethics, I think I'm still grappling with like, is it cheap if I got a certain idea from Suno about like what direction to take a piece of music in, like what like genre, what instrumentation. But then I was thinking like, well, what if I had a mentor who I brought these things to, and it was just one person who gave me ideas. He wasn't like, you got to do this. He was like, oh, you could do this, you could do this.
Yeah, I don't
And
think it's cheap to get an idea from Suno, but I would trust like Jason more for a cool idea than I'll ever trust Suno. You know what I mean? Like that's why I just think it's obsolete. You're never gonna have
yeah.
someone who gets hired to produce the next future Bruno Mars album because like bro, his prompts are so elite. No one has prompts like he does. You know what I mean? Like it's
Bro,
like a
that would be
movie.
crazy if you're proved wrong about that. Like, what if there's someone who's like a savant at writing the prompts?
If I'm proved wrong, sure, but still play me a G major chord. If you
But
can't do that, I do not
probably,
respect you.
yeah,
Exactly. There's
uh,
another thing. There's
yeah,
another thing I do need to point out, though, is that I think that one of the concerns that I have is that unfortunately we're at a point where a lot of people don't really want to study music, but they want to participate. And
Mm,
so a lot of times AI is used in that way.
yeah,
There
no
was
doubt.
even somebody that made a video, I think this was maybe a year ago, and it was kind of just admitting that. Like
yeah,
admitting like that it was like okay, I'll give the short explanation. It was sort of like saying, yes, you have this idea that's perfect, but you can't articulate it on an instrument.
right,
Here's AI to help you.
right,
And they talked about how, yeah, it used to be impressive when we'd watch people who could really play their instruments, but
right,
now AI can do this for you. And
Mhm.
now we're going to interview the CEO of Spotify, and that
Right.
happened, by the way. I'm not saying it as a joke. That actually happened after she gave this little spiel. I swear that was the very next thing, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
you're kind of. I don't know what kind of argument you're making, but if you're trying to make it for, you've lost
No, that's the
already.
thing. I could see a future where someone makes such a good AI album that they go on tour and they tour Europe and they win a Grammy and they didn't play a single instrument. Like they had an AI make the thing. I could see, sure, it's a tool for capitalism and for making money. Like, there's not much difference from that in a splice loop. But when you're on your deathbed and the money has disappeared and you're left with like your soul and your loved ones,
Right.
and all you did was have an AI make a song for you, like it's fucking lame. Like versus if you actually believe in the craft and like love and dedicate your internal light to bringing it out in the universe, like that's real shit. That's better. And I agree with
Totally.
you, Jason. Like AI is discouraging, unfortunately, a lot of kids from being able to experience that. But at the same time, there's a whole counterculture of this exact debate we're having, full of nerds that love being nerds and are music nerds, and are other music people who are like, yeah, this shit's cool. You know, both are gonna happen at the same time. Such is life. I
And
don't
I
know.
think we're gonna see, like, probably, within the next decade or two, like, as the younger generation comes up with music being like taken over by technology and AI, not taken over, but like just they're going to see this threat to music, or just see it as a act of resistance to make music, right?
Right.
To learn how to play an instrument, to form bands, to play live. And I think there's going to be just a resurgence around the live musicians, people getting together and playing, and people performing, and
100%.
going back to using more real instruments, I think. And also just like people more interested in going to live music, and jazz too. I think part of this, what I describe as, a lot of people feel like this renaissance of jazz happening in LA, at least. I think it's partly due to this fact. It's like people are hungry to see some real shit,
It's only
right?
going to get more valuable to
Yeah,
play live music and see live music when
yeah,
recorded music gets so dog shit and like
Right.
democratized, like corporatized. You know, like
yeah.
it's so shed your iPhone ringtones, bring out your metronomes. You know, that's the real value. You know.
Right. Ruben, I wanted you to get a chance to weigh in on AI a little bit if you had anything to add.
I was going to bring up this fact that you guys just sort of touched on just now, which is that there is a potential silver lining where the blowback to the AI music wave is going to be that people are just going to want to be making music for real in person with one another, because AI can't
Right.
replicate that yet, and probably never will. Although who knows? It's usually never a good idea to say AI will never do this, because anybody who's ever
Right.
said that in the past has been proven wrong. But it seems like that really could be.
Well, fundamentally, like AI, at least as it is now, is not human. It doesn't
Right.
have, part of music. A big part of music is not just the sounds, right? It's like the emotion and like the meaning behind it, and transferring something from that someone or some group of people captures, and then to be able to share it through recording or live performance, or even sheet music, right? That was how, it was sheet music, or like people in church, or and like I think about all the time. It's like we are living in like the most strange, like the strangest last 100 years. Like before the last 100 years ish, we didn't have people like recording
There
stuff and
wasn't
like
recorded
listening.
music. Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's like, and I was talking about this yesterday with people. Like people used to have pianos in the homes. People used to like generally go
Yep.
to church more, and sing more, right? Like music was just a more normal part of people's lives, as as participants, right? Like these days, like I'd wager that like most people don't really sing, like, ever, right? Or at least like not without feeling embarrassed. And like most people don't have like at least like basic literacy of being able to read sheet music. But that it was such a different case. Like you go back to the 19th century and before, right?
Mm. It's still like it's a blessing to be able to make money in the music industry. Like
Yeah,
it's a luxury, and I like we're all fortunate enough to like
yeah,
have a career. You know, for most of life of human history, that wasn't even a thing.
yeah,
So this AI thing is an unfortunate byproduct of the late stage capitalism thing that we're in right now. You know,
yeah, yeah.
hopefully we'll get past this and there's universal basic income or something and everyone has the time and resources to become a full-fledged musician and share that passion and beauty, you know. That's
Yeah,
the
I,
dream.
I agree. Like what if like AI still stays, but like if you make something for a to submit to AI, maybe you get compensated. I don't know. I just came up with that
Well,
idea.
this is a whole other thing that we haven't even really touched on yet, which is that the legality of how AI music is created right now is
Yeah,
very suspect.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that's
Oh
one
yeah.
way to put it. Yeah.
And this is something I hope we do get
yeah,
sorted out
Oh
soon
yeah,
my God,
as a
y'all.
culture.
Yeah.
yeah. It's true, and I have I totally see how it's suspect, and it's definitely there's
Mhm.
an element that's not kosher, but at the same time, it's like what AI is doing could be done by a person if they were given enough time. Like
I think Adam Neely's video on this was like hit the nail right on the head. If y'all have seen it, it's like an hour long and is
I
goes
haven't
over
watched it
all of
in
this.
full. Yeah, I gotta watch it for
It's
sure.
great.
I watched the whole thing and it's pretty much it nails it in my
Yeah,
opinion.
Yeah.
And the main takeaway is practice your scales, y'all. Don't forget it. Don't
yeah,
sleep on
I know
it.
you don't want to do it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
You'll learn
Yeah,
to love it.
I will say this though. I do think that another thing, and this is when I mentioned this slippery slope,
yeah.
I also think another thing that happened was uh, and this is the what I call the exploitation of the rap genre.
Mm,
Yeah, not the rap genre, but the exploitation of the rap genre. Yeah, because and what that means is that because that's why there's always this debate about like is rap music, is it not, is it the same as jazz, is it not, and there's a lot of debates about it. A lot of it has to do with melody and harmony, but I remember when and this is funny, this is the moment that I knew that pop music, the quality of pop music was going to go down, and that's I was listening to it was a song from Erica Badu, who's great, and the song was on and on. It was a great song, and it
mm.
was a great. And at some point, I was listening, and I'm like, man, this music sounds like a rap sample. Oh no! And I could see 20 years of pop music dying the minute I said that, because what I realized was in the late '90s, because there were songs that were a lot worse. Was in terms, what I realized was you had a generation that weren't hearing full songs; they were hearing samples. They weren't hearing full melodies. They were hearing
Right,
samples. They were hearing
right,
loops. And
right.
that's what pop music turned into, was a lot of loops. And
That's right.
then you start to get young people that don't understand form. They don't
Yep.
understand the construction of a melody. They don't understand. And this isn't even, and I'm saying any music before like 90 or like 90, any of that.
Yeah,
And so, unfortunately, and that's why I call it the exploitation of the rap genre. It's not the rap genre itself, because I mean that could be used. It could go anywhere. You can implement
Yeah.
it with any music. But it's when folks started to exploit it and say, "Oh yeah, we just need to do this loop, cool." And then after a while, you had rappers that started to not practice their flow, and then the rapping skills started to go down. But
Hmm.
I talked to a musician who was teaching a composition class, and he was telling me there were students that didn't know what AABA form was and just basic things, and all they knew was like verse, chorus, verse, chorus. I said, you know what that is, right? Exploitation of the rap genre, because that's what happens. You have the verse, chorus. It's a
Hmm.
sample. And I mean, it's not even anything because. I mean, I have my rules about sampling. I like the guys that are creative with sampling and sample records that people don't really know, and not
right,
sample a hit from the '70s, but things that people don't know. But still, it's like a lot of times you're just hearing a sample, and that's all that the music is.
right.
So anyway, that's something that I have thought of too. Like I think that has sort of caused a lot of things to go down in quality.
I'm,
And
I'm,
Yeah.
I don't know. I would push back a little bit on the when you said verse chorus. Like, I don't. I think like a lot of musicians haven't been exposed to AABA because that's coming from like jazz and musical theater predominantly. And I think like if you grew up on songs from like 60s and 70s. Like I think generally we have verse chorus structures there with some pre-choruses and bridges and stuff like that. But I think most modern like rap songs and or last few decades, it's like you're actually probably looking at just just A,
Yeah.
and like sure there's chorus like lyrics, but like as far as two different parts of a song that are different parts of a form with like different chords or something different that's
Yeah.
more than just like production elements like that. I think that is that's even worse than or more simple than verse chorus, right?
Yeah, but I just meant that, like, if you think lyrically, because that's what I'm saying. The
Okay,
music is
okay.
not changing. The music isn't changing. I'm just saying that I know that those students are used to, like, you have a verse and you have this chorus and you have a verse and you have this chorus. Thinking of the lyrics, the music isn't even changing.
That
Yeah.
yeah.
But what I was saying was that even in the 80s, like 80s music, I mean, yeah, it wasn't like AABA, but you would have these forms, like something with like chord changes and then a chorus and then
Yeah.
maybe like a bridge that's different. But then you would have forms.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, different
I,
types.
I just think like, over the last, I don't know the exact number, but like, yeah, last 10, 15 years, like so many songs, I would say I'd have to do an investigation, but like a large percent of the hits have not had more than just A, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Which to me has been like probably the biggest like recent like trend in pop music that would differentiate it from like 2000s pop, which generally did have verses and choruses,
Hmm.
um, but sometimes didn't change the chord progression. So it's iffy because like where like we don't have different chord progressions, we have production changes and
yeah,
which are very effective, and nothing wrong with that. But I think the bare minimum to produce a track is just let's get the sample or let's get the beat, let's get the loop,
yeah,
and then we have the whole structure already there. And then
So
you just,
yeah,
especially if you're doing rapping or something with a lot of words that doesn't require, maybe you have one melody that's like kind of the hook, but everything else is just like, oh, as long as we just as long as you just have the words, you can just make it work, and you can adjust as needed. And again, I'm not trying to throw any shade. I'm just saying like this is like it's probably the most efficient way to make a track, you
but
know.
that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
the way I see it right now, the recorded music industry, it's you can't eat McDonald's all day every day. That shit's you'll get diabetes. It's so bad for you. And
Right.
that's like a lot of this, like you're saying, like it starts with the on and on, like, oh, this sounds like a sample, and then someone who only hears samples, then someone who only hears AI music. Like
Yeah.
the efficient way of making music is McDonald's is more efficient than like making a nice homebrewed dinner, but it's so much worse for you. If everyone is out here eating garbage all day, we're gonna be like the people in Wally, and we're gonna have our hover chairs and just be lazy, and then like it's
Absolutely.
the and we know as musicians it's so much deeper than that. Recorded music, like you said, it's a new thing. It's only been around like 100 years, but music has been around since before language, possibly.
yeah,
Music is this eternal thing, and that
Yeah.
is never going to change. It's just when we talk about like, all right, now we have to have a career in music. I'm a professional recording artist. What does that look like for me? It's dark times right now, undeniably. How am I, a local restaurant, mom and pop business, supposed to compete with McDonald's, who is like dominates America? It's tough. But the
right.
only answer is to do the best you can and still make good music, because that's you got to be the change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will say though, part of me wishes that the rap genre became more mainstream in would have started becoming mainstream in the 1970s. That would have been
Mhm.
really interesting because
Yeah.
someone said to me, "Well, they would have been sampling." I'm like, "Actually, no, because they would have been working with bands."
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of a record called the Hustlers Convention?
I don't know.
I don't think
Check
so.
that one out. The Hustlers Convention was oh man, it was one of the guys from the last
Grandmaster
poem.
Flash. Oh,
Yeah,
Lightning
what's
Rod.
that?
It says it's by Lightning Rod.
Jalal
Lightning Rod
Mansour
was the name
Lee.
of the character. Yes,
Oh, for
Lightning
sure.
Rod was the name of the character. But But basically, he's okay. So he's doing like spoken word, but the band is cool in the game.
Oh,
Oh, no
cool.
And
way.
it's like they're playing, and he does like some spoken word parts, and there's like he tells
Wow.
his whole story. And so I'm
Cool.
like, damn, man. And then if you
Yeah.
think about the fact that Gil Scott Heron was also going on around that time, like
Yeah.
if like imagine like if there was a lot of that was mainstream.
There's still like there's deep rap music that gets made all the time. Like someone said, listen to Kendrick. Like that is he's killing it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like
but
the
there's a lot that's out here that's not mainstream. That's
exactly.
why I
Yeah.
was saying that
There's
like
a
rap
there's a
it
lot
could
of
go anywhere.
yeah, there's great pop music that gets produced all the time. But the reality of the world, the industry right now is like if you just get as many views as you can on TikTok, like that is like success. You know, that'll get you to the Grammy and the biggest audience. And your McDonald's, you spend less effort making the product and you spend all your effort marketing it. Technically you'll make more money, but the music's worse and people are worse off for it, you know? Like just like what you're saying, like the Grandmaster Flash Cool in the Gang, like that's deep and it's super fire and probably way more killing than an AI Suno rapper guy. You know,
Right.
like I still believe in good music. It's eternal. Um,
Yep.
Yeah.
Metronomes.
I hear you. This is a completely different subject, but I just want to throw out what I was at yesterday. It was a gathering about microtonality. It was like a microtonal group, which was super interesting because like that's something we don't come across that much, especially in like real life. Like, and especially there's this one dude who had connections to Harry Parch, who like lived with Harry Parch for a little bit when he was 3, and also Herb Wilson, who's we were seeing all of his diagrams, and it's like mathematics, right? It's just like the diagrams and the theory
Mm-hmm.
behind it. It's very fascinating stuff, and yeah, this is a whole other topic that we could get on another time, of course, but just about the standardization of first equal temperament and also standard 440 and versus 432. Like I haven't gone down the rabbit hole with that so much, but I know there's some pretty wide movement about 432. But yeah, I guess my point is like the music that we've been making over the last few centuries, but especially over the last few hundred years, and especially over the last few decades with technology, has been so narrowed into like this specific system and these specific frequencies and everything like that. Whereas like microtonality, of course, opens all that up, and then there's just so much more. It's like going from 2D to 3D. And I think I guess I'm just trying to get this like long perspective of the history of music making and humanity, right? In fact, I was briefly turned on to this idea that I think it was in India. In India, yeah, like you have to study, like you have to like prove that you're ready to be a musician by like learning all the ragas, and then once you have attained that status, then you play certain ragas like for specific times of the day. So like basically music is very very tied to the natural world, and it's like this way of living in harmony with the universe. Essentially, it's very deep stuff. There was also this idea about in China for hundreds thousands of years, the like standard that things were measured by was like, I think it was like, again I'm paraphrasing, but like the leader or whatever meditated for a while until they could intone a certain frequency, and that frequency was like the standard of measurement. Like it was like, yeah, it's like the
Like,
foot or something, but like through sound in a way. And once that was abolished, that's when there was the revolution. Apparently I have to do like I'm just sort of recounting some of the stuff I heard yesterday, but I think like this is like I'm just trying to put into perspective what we were just talking about with AI and like narrowing of musical, awareness and palette and attention spans, and putting into this large context of what have humans been doing with sound and music? Why do we make music? what is it meant for us, and what have we been trying to get out of it? And with recorded industry increasingly just using it for commercial purposes, for business purposes, for money making purposes, and making this whole industry around it, it has severely soured the general public's appetite for music. And like, we've definitely lost sight of the the alchemy and magic and connection to the natural world that we have through music. Anyway, this is a conversation for another time. I didn't mean to like go off the deep end with that, but yeah, I guess that's a good place to wrap up. Does anyone have any last thoughts? I didn't mean to cut anyone off. If I did, sorry about that.
Option 3 for life.
Right, which leads us perfectly back to this debate.
Yes, I'm pretty flexible though.
Yeah.
Yes,
Same.
I'm like, rhythm is flexible in my book, so.
No, I'm with it. Anyone let us know what what's his name, Gerard Langling says. That's the next clue in this case.
Yep.
AI music sucks. This was super rad talking to y'all. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
This has been so fun. Yeah, thanks you guys for being down. It's been just a treat. I've never done a debate like this or a conversation like this on Instagram Live. This has been super fun. And yeah, thanks for weighing in. Thanks especially to you, Reuben, for like the really well produced videos you've been making.
For sure.
Those have been super cool. And yeah, please keep us posted on any new findings, and looking forward to seeing the other cool stuff. Your stuff with the 3D shapes and 3D printing, like the sound, that's so
sick.
cool, man. That's super cool. That's an example of cymatics ish?
No, not exactly.
Not at all. Okay.
Curves is what it is.
Okay. I put it in the same category of just like how vibration and frequency create beautiful patterns.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So yeah, guys, I hope we can do this again sometime. And
love to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys another time.
All right. See y'all later. Have a good
Cool,
one.
guys.
It's really great meeting you guys.
All right, you too.
Great to meet y'all. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.